turn to Obadiah. Obadiah, verse 8. I didn't give you a chapter for Obadiah because Obadiah only has one chapter. So chapter 1 of Obadiah, I guess we could say, verse 8. We're going to look from 8 through 18 here. Obadiah reveals this violence and hatred towards Israel and the Jewish people, and the ultimate judgment coming upon Edom, which is Esau. So now we're talking about Esau, and Esau was the father of Edom. Verse 8, you have to understand, God is speaking here in this passage, and he says this, "Will I not on that day, declares the Lord, destroy wise men from Edom, and understanding from the mountain of Esau?" So Esau is the father of Edom. Verse 9, "Then your mighty men will be dismayed, O Teman." Teman is the capital of Edom. "In order that everyone may be cut off from the mountain of Esau by slaughter." And so the Lord, right at the beginning of this section of Scripture, is saying that he's going to slaughter Edom. He's going to wipe them out. Verse 10, why is he going to do it? Well, here are the reasons for the judgment here in verse 10 through 14. "Because of violence to your brother Jacob." Who is Esau's brother? The Jewish guy, Jacob, yeah. They're blood brothers. Even though Esau moved to the Persian, the Muslim, and the Arab side. Gave up his birthright. And here he's got violence against his brother Jacob. This is the issue that we're dealing with, this violence, this hatred towards the Jewish people. "You will be covered with shame. You will be cut off forever. On the day that you stood aloof, on the day that strangers carried off his wealth and foreigners entered his gate and cast lots for Jerusalem, you too were as one of them." Now he's talking about other nations coming in and destroying Israel, taking over Israel. And he's saying Esau, as a blood brother, did not help his blood brother, Jacob, and Israel and the Jewish people. He didn't help. And actually, he was a part of them. Scripture says here, "You too were as one of them." Look at verse 12. "Do not gloat over your brother's day, the day of his misfortune. Do not rejoice over the sons of Judah in the day of their destruction. Yes, do not boast in the day of their distress." So they were rejoicing right along with these other nations that were wiping out the Jewish people and attacking Israel. And then verse 13, "Do not enter the gate of my people." He's talking about the Jewish people, Israel, "in the day of their disaster. Yes, you do not gloat over their calamity in the day of their disaster. Do not loot their wealth in the day of their disaster, and do not stand at the fork of the road to cut off their fugitives, and do not imprison their survivors in the day of their disaster." Now, how many times does he say, do not do something against the Jewish people? And what do? They continue to do it. He says, don't do this. Don't do evil against the Jewish people. And yet they did. This is why God's going to judge them. This is the violence that came out against them from Esau and these peoples. Verse 15 and following now, take a look. It seems to me now that Esau or Edom is a microcosm of the whole world. And we'll see that in these next few verses. Verse 15 says, "For the day of the Lord draws near on all the nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your dealings will return on your own head." So as the world has responded to Israel and attacked Israel, which they're going to be doing and they're still doing, even in this day right now, and that's increasing as we see around the world, God says, I'm going to judge you for this, folks. I'm going to judge you and your nations. So Esau is just a microcosm of the whole world. The day of the Lord, though, that's the future, right? That's the tribulation period. That's Jacob's trouble when God is going to judge the world. pour out his 21 judgments upon the whole wide world. And he says here, because your dealings will return on your own head. Look at verse 16. Because just as you drank on my holy mountain, all the nations will drink continually. They will drink and swallow and become as if they had never what? Existed. That's judgment, my friends, and that's going to be harsh judgments. And it's all because they hated the Jewish people and then attacked the Jewish people. Verse 17. But on Mount Zion there will be those who escape, and it will be holy. This is the good news for the Jewish people at the end of the tribulation period, at the end of Jacob's trouble. And the house of Jacob will possess their possessions. Then the house of Jacob will be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. But the bad news here continues. But the house of Esau will be as stubble, and they will set them on fire and consume them, so that there will be no survivor of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. Yes, Edom, Esau has been attacked by the Lord. It has been wiped out. But it has not been wiped out to the extent of what God is telling us, not only here in Obadiah, but also in Ezekiel chapter 35. He's going to destroy them, wipe them out, and there's going to be a fire blazing for a very long time.